What do you do when you play a one trick that has a 20% or higher ban rate? In this profile view, I'm going to be breaking down everything gold junglers need to do when they play really popular champions and they need to get that second champion because they simply just can't play their one trick enough and therefore they can't climb. So this is all about one tricks who play really popular champions, whether it's just because of the meta or they've always historically been really popular, what they need to do in order to climb, particularly when they get stuck because their champion's just getting picked and banned too much. Now, before we get into this profile review, if you're interested in getting your very own profile reviewed for free, just like this one, please check out the link in the YouTube description below, as well as if you're interested in the paid coaching solution I talk about towards the end of this video, please, you can book your free one-on-one call with me where I can break down exactly what a personalized coaching solution would look like for you, your goals, your champion pool, and the biggest things holding you back. And, you can see if you like it. Anyway, let's get into the profile review. So currently you're gold 4 and your goal rank is to get to gold 4, but you're already there. So I'm going to assume for this profile review, your goal rank is to get to somewhere like plat. And to be honest, with your current win rate on Zac alone, let's say if you just played Zac for the rest of the season, you'd be able to get to platinum. Now, the issue with that is, obviously, Zac's a very popular champion, he gets banned a lot, he gets picked a lot, and therefore you probably can't play 100% of your games on Zac. So, what I'm going to be going through in the next 10 minutes are the big 3 things that you need to focus on, which is your champion pool, your kill participation percentage, so how many fights you're getting in relative to how many kills your team's getting, and then you're fixing your early game, and then also looking at the biggest issue that you think is holding you back from your rank, from your goal rank, which is closing games with leads and tilting from thinking you played well and then still losing. Now, to quickly touch upon that problem, closing games with leads, the easiest way to do this consistently is to get your team to group. Now, that's easier said than done, but whenever you feel like you can get your team to group or there's an opportunity for your team to group, whether there's a few of you trying to push down mid lane or dragons coming up in 30 seconds, using pings to communicate what you as the jungler want to do, particularly when you're ahead, players generally listen. And yes, it's solo queue, they're not going to listen every time, but making the attempt and putting in the effort and giving your team the opportunity to collaborate and work together, particularly as the jungler, which generally a lot of players look to like lead macro calling because they're generally the ones wanting to get dragon, wanting to get barons, wanting to get rift heralds and trying to gank lanes. So the biggest way to close games with leads is to just get your team to group. Zac is a really good team fighter. He's really good in 5v5s, 3v3s, 4v4s, 2v1s, 2v2s. He's really good in basically every fight. So really, the easiest way to close out games with leads is to group. And that goes for like most champions and most junglers. The team that groups first generally wins because League of Legends is a team-based game. The developers are really trying to get it to be very team-based orientated so that you have to use teamwork to win the game. And while that's not the way everyone plays, it is the easiest, most consistent way to win the game. So if you can get your team to work together, that is the key. Now, the second one, tilting from thinking I played well and still losing. Now, the average League of Legends player is going to lose 50% of their games. It's just how it is because it's a game of 5v5 and, you're going to lose 50% of the time. A decent player is going to lose only 45% of their games. And to be honest, a challenger player generally only wins about 57 to 58% of their games. So that still leaves over 40% of their games that they're losing. And so the reason why I'm saying this is that not every game in League of Legends is winnable. And even games when you play really well, like let's say you played your best game ever, if your team is just not playing well for whatever reason or can't, keep up with you and can't generate leads themselves, the game is going to be unwinnable. So don't worry too much about games where you play really well and you still lose unless you feel like you could have done something differently. And that's when you'd implement a strategy like game reviews. But I'll talk a bit more about that at the end of this profile view. So let's get into the first biggest issue that is holding you back right now for climbing to platinum, which is your champion pool. Now, right now, Zac one-tricking, that is the goal. You need to be playing as many Zac games as possible as you can. I can see in your last 60 games, you only played of these just over 50% on Zac. I don't think his pick and ban rate is that high, so I'm not sure why you're not playing Zac whenever you can. you've got by far the highest win rate on Zach out of all the champions you play. So what I'd be recommending, unless Zach is pick or banned, you need to play Zach every single game. No matter the matchup, no matter what the enemy team's playing, no matter what your team needs, your Zach is going to give you the best chance of winning each individual game. And that's what we need to do in order to get you to climbing, because we need to get this overall win rate up to about 55% as quickly as possible. I can see in your last 60 games, for example, you've got a 44% win rate. That's really bad. But I can see in your last 20, it's 45%, so it's improving a little bit. But again, we're not playing enough Zach. Look, when you play Zach, you get that 55% win rate, that golden win ratio. Now, so Zach, I'll actually look him up because I'm not even sure what his pick ban rate is, but I'll look it up. I know it's high, but I'm not sure how high it is. Yeah, okay, so it's a pick rate and a 20% ban rate. So about 30% of your games, let's say you're in gold, let's see what it is. Okay, yep, so about 30% of your games you're not going to be able to play Zach at the moment, which is a real shame because you're a Zach main. So what we're going to have to do is basically find you another champ that can generate you the same results. Now, the first few champions that come to mind when I'm thinking of champions like Zach in the jungle. Maokai is a little bit like him, but someone like Amumu, I think you'd really enjoy, as well as I can see that you already play a bit of Sejuani. And honestly, I think Sejuani's actually in a pretty good spot right now. And the fact that you've had a 50% win rate over 4 games, even though that's not much data, it's much better than, let's say, your Vi currently. So what I recommend is when your Zach gets pick or banned, playing a tank that's similar to his playstyle and learning that champion. So whether it's Sejuani or Amumu, they're the big two I'd recommend, and then potentially something like Maokai as well you could potentially learn. Now, in order to learn this champion and not affect your rank, what I'd recommend is actually getting a second account and learning how to play that new champion, whether it's Amumu, whether it's Rammus, whether it's Maokai, whether it's Sejuani, using that new account, playing ranked and learning that new champion and getting a really comfortable mastery on it. And ideally not bringing it to this main account. So even taking a break from this main account until you get your second champion up to scratch, really aiming for like a 55% win rate at least in ranked games over at least 20 games on that second account. And then you can bring that champion, whether it be Sejuani, Amumu or whatever, onto your main account and you can start going for that goal rank of platinum again. Now, the second thing I need you to be focusing on next is your kill participation. Right now, you're averaging 51%, which is pretty good. But as a jungler, particularly as a Zac main, you need to be averaging around at least a 55% kill participation. For junglers, if you're only averaging 50% kill participation, it means 50% of the kills your team gets you don't have any part of. And that's a real big issue when we're looking as an individual, how we can get better at the game, how we can have more impact, and how we can influence the game to get more wins, to get more victories, and to get ourselves ahead. Getting in more kills leads to good outcomes in League of Legends. You know, getting the most kills isn't going to win you the game, but it allows you to access the key gates, I like to call them, that get you close to winning. So when you win a team fight, you get to choose, can we take Baron? Can we push down mid? Can we get an inhibitor? All these things lead you closer and closer to the end game objective of killing the enemy nexus. So kills are not essential to win the game, but being in enough kills and being in a significant amount of your team's kills is super important so that you have enough influence and impact on the catalyst that leads to ending the game or winning more games. So the real easy way to do that is just whenever your team is grouped, group. If you can, gank more in your first 15 minutes, but post laning phase, you should really be treating grouping and ganking as your priority. Farm doesn't really matter so much on Zac after 15 minutes. All you really need to be doing is getting in as many fights and trying to get your team to group as often as possible. Now, the third thing we need to focus on for you is your early game, because right now you're averaging around a 200 gold deficit at 15 minutes, which I think is probably one of the biggest reasons that you're not winning more games on Zac. And the good news is that even though you're averaging, almost a kill behind at 15 minutes, you're still winning 61% of your games. But imagine if this goal difference was plus 200. What do you think your win rate would be? I would honestly think it would shoot up to around 65% to 70%, which is insane. That is incredible for climbing. I recommend anything above a 55% win rate, at least for climbing. So if you can get somewhere close to like 65%, even if it's just in the short term, and obviously that will go down as you verse better and better players, that's a really, really, really good sign. So you need to fix your landing phase. Now, what I think your first 15 minutes and the reason why you're coming out behind is you're probably dying 1 or 2 times too many in your first 15 minutes. As a Zach, you should not honestly be dying in the first 15 minutes. And if you are, you're probably choosing bad gank timings, or you're just not understanding your champion's strengths in the early game. Because Zach isn't the strongest early game champ, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have a really good gank. He doesn't have a really good kill potential, and he can still do really well in the early game. And honestly, if you're a one trick, there's really no excuse for you being behind in 200 gold. So what I'd be looking at is your jungle pathing and focusing on jungle pathing to lead to gank outcomes. Generally, you always want to be prioritizing like bot lane as your main ganking place, because in bot lane, there's 4 champions there, which makes up 40% of the map or the influence of the game when you think about it. Because top lane's got 20%, mid lane's got 20%, jungle is 20%, and then bot lane is 40%. So even when you add yourself to bot lane, that means there's 50% of the players right now in a skirmish. And if you can win that skirmish, that means you've influenced 50% of the map, or 50% of the biggest variables that can affect the game, whether you win or lose. And obviously it's a bit more complex than that. But the reason why I'm telling you to focus on bot lane is because a lot of junglers start bot side and clear up to top side. But what I want you to start doing on Zach is clearing from top side down to bot side and trying to gank your bot lane, or doing the classic bot quadrant clear into a gank bot lane and then going to clear your top lane jungle. And I think that will honestly solve your goal problem. Now, Xavier, you have said you're interested in coaching. And to be honest, what I think you really do need is a coach to walk you through monthly some game reviews with you and break down everything that you're currently struggling with, and helping you build out a plan on how you can go from gold to platinum. So what I would recommend for someone like you is a monthly ranked climbing plan. Basically what this is think of it like a personal trainer for the gym. But instead of lifting weights, we're actually looking at how you can get better at League of Legends, how you can play better, and what champions you need to abuse and how to play the game. And the idea is to get you from a gold 4 player into a plat player. Not doing that overnight, but by breaking down the biggest hurdles holding you back one at a time until there's nothing left stopping you from getting to platinum. So that is a paid coaching opportunity, but what it would involve is monthly statistic tracking, monthly goal setting, monthly game reviews, and 24/7 Discord support on coaching advice. So if you're interested in learning more about that, once you've watched this, please reach out to me on Discord, letting me know you're interested, and I will send you a link to book a free one-on-one call with me where I can basically break down exactly what that personalized climbing solution, that coaching solution would look like for you in your position based on your goals. Anyway, mate, I think you've got a lot of potential here. Clearly, Zach is your key to climbing. The unfortunate thing is he has a very high ban rate and a very high pick rate. That will change eventually, and I guarantee you, even if Zach gets nerfed, your win rate's not going to change that much because you're a one trick and you're just so good on him. So you almost at this stage want a nerf just so he's not played as much. But anyway, you've got a lot of potential. I look forward to talking to you once you've watched this profile view. As always, cheers, good luck in the Rift. I'll talk to you soon.